St. Paul's letter to the Church of Philippi is best known for its passage on the emptying of Christ, but it is also a source of pastoral advice and joyful encouragement to the Philippian Christians. Paul wrote in unusual circumstances. He was being held in prison where the prospect was either execution or release. Yet Paul was a hopeful prisoner. He had no worries for himself. If he was to be put to death, then he would be with Christ, which was the ultimate goal. Paul spoke in kind and loving terms of the Philippians. They were people that he loved and longed for, his joy and his crown, seen in chapter 4, verse 1. He wanted this love that he had to overflow more and more with the knowledge and wisdom, so that in the day of the Lord they would be pure and blameless. In general, he wrote to the Philippians for the same reason that he wrote his other letters, to build up the faith of the believers, to remind them of his ways in Christ Jesus, and to bring the hope of the Lord. A letter was a substitute for a personal visit, or for the visit of one of his assistants like Timothy or Titus. His letter was meant to bring joy to God's people.
Paul states to have written the letter to the Philippians himself, and when compared to Romans 1 and 2 Corinthians and Galatians, all the internal characteristics of language, style, and historical facts add up to confirm this. Paul had also ventured to Philippi before. Paul was in prison when he wrote the letter, but it is unclear which one of the imprisonments he was in during the time period of writing the letter. There is no definite date for when the letter was written, but if they knew where he was imprisoned when he wrote it, there would be. The letter was written for many reasons, one being that Paul wanted the church to know how things were going for him in his imprisonment and what his plans were should he be released. Second, there appears to have been some discord and division in the church, and so the apostle wrote to encourage humility with a view toward unity. Third, Paul wrote to head off the negative teaching and consequences of certain false teachers. Fourth, he wrote to commend Timothy to the church, as well as to give the church a report about the health and plans of Epaphroditus. Fifth, he wrote to thank the church for their concern for him and the gifts they had given.